Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends of the Playhouse, friends of the Hate Bit Podcast, opponents of the Hate Bit Podcast, welcome to Tuesday Night Chaos. I am your intrepid host, the mighty El Chaos. Joining me for the first time in a very long time. You asked for it. Here it is, Mr. Razörfist. Razörfist, tell the people how you doing.
Mostly I asked for it. But Godspeed, folks. I've wanted to be on one of these forever, so let's fucking do it.
know we keep passing each other. We're having sort of scheduling conflicts, but let's just keep rolling what we were talking about. We're just going to bring you online. This is what was going on as we stumbled into the program today. There was a flood. I won't tell you where it was. I won't tell you who did it, but there was a flood. And Razörfist and I had to deal with the flood myself, and I was sweeping water out because I'd seen on the news that people in Florida spend a lot of time sweeping water out of their living rooms. And immediately I said, okay, I'll go sweep the water out of the living room. And then Razörfist brought up about, what was it, about alligators dragging infants? That's another thing that goes on in Florida.
That's the only other thing that happens in Florida is alligators drag infants into man-made lakes at Disney World.
Yeah, and for some reason, alligators that are living in abandoned water parks. Did you hear about that?
That still somehow have better skin than the retirees that live there.
Well, they're not Jewish or anything, so it's different. It's different for those people.
But no, I didn't hear about that. What are you talking about? Water parks?
There's a Did you know about, you might not know about this, in Disney World, there's all sorts of parts of the park that they just closed, and because Disney World is so big, they can just shut off parts of the park and no one knows anything about it. Seriously, I mean, have you been to Disneyland here, or not here, but in Anaheim?
Of course.
Okay. Disneyland in Anaheim is like just over a city block.
Yeah.
Whereas, if you know anything about Florida, there's a whole bunch of fucking property that nobody wants. Facts. And Walt Disney bought a shit ton of that. Lots and lots and lots of that. And so there are, I don't want to call them grottos, but pieces of swamp that are just out there and no one knows that's part of Disney World. So, and apparently they found out that some of these alligators were hanging out nearby in one of the fucking water parks that they just turned off and has been overgrown for like the last 10 years. And just, it turned out to be a great place for these renegade alligators because in Florida, they have a problem. People who want to have pet alligators do it in Florida or get them from Florida and then just take them to the fucking Everglades when they don't want them anymore because, they turn into a fucking alligator. I will say this, though. I will say this about young alligators. Young alligators are proof that almost everything, with the exception of humans, is cute when it's young. Because... you ever seen a little alligator?
No.
Oh, they're darling. I mean, they look like a pissed off pair of boots, but they're darling. Because they're not like completely dangerous. Like they don't have the jaw strength to snap at you or anything yet. But you can pet them and they like that and stuff. And then they turn into a fucking alligator.
Well, yeah, well, think of it this way. It's kind of like being a human being. When you're a little baby, you don't know shit about all the times you're going to get kicked in the nads throughout your life.
Nor do you know how much damage you can really do with your head.
This is factual.
How many times you seen grandpa or uncle get their fucking nads wailed on by an infant head? Kaplam. Those kids throw that shit like junkyard dog. Kaplam.
Grab them cakes. But no, fucking, that's what happens. They get older. It's just like humans. You get older. You realize that life is just one long procession of getting hit in the nads with one thing or another, and you turn into a jaded bastard. Just like that, alligators, they start out young. They don't know shit about shit. They think they're just going to be eating kelp and plankton or whatever the fuck they eat in the Everglades. They don't have kelp and plankton in the Everglades, but you understand what the fucking algae.
Well, apparently they switched over to young children from Ohio, but the point is,
then they get older and they learn they're going to be a fucking belt. Yeah, of course they're pissed off.
Well, no, they don't know about that. They're just fighting against it one way or the other.
Yeah.
So people always talk about how angry the alligators are. It's like if your future was as a belt, you'd be upset too. And you guys, I know you're going to quote us, so give credit to myself and Razörfist when you put that shit. See, your friends think you're so goddamn funny on the social media because you go and tell my jokes and his jokes on your fucking Twitter. You think I don't know about that? That's the funny thing. Fist, you know about this. The kids that follow us on Facebook and Twitter, nice kids. By the way, don't forget to check out Razörfist and the Kaos on the Twitter, on the Facebook, and whatever else it is we do, because we're important people. God damn it! Yes. But you don't think we don't know about that when you like us or you follow us on Twitter, and then once in a while I'll go, and usually I do this, so now you know, and I'll go, this is how much time I have on my hands, and I'll go and I'll flip through, and I always want to see, what people are talking about, just so I understand. And it's like 3 or 4 of my fucking jokes, followed by a picture of an ass that clearly doesn't belong to the person who owns this Twitter account. And it's like, so all your friends think you're really fucking clever because you listen to me and him all day. All right, I see how this shit works.
And because they have a pitted marble ass. Naturally.
That's part of it too. That's part of it too. No, it's usually a much nicer ass, which that's how I know it's fake. Anytime you see a nice ass on the internet, it's fake.
It's true. Yes, exactly.
Or
and now of course Twitter's getting canny. Anytime you use any even vaguely suggestive term, like I used the word load in a tweet.
Well, LOAD or LODE?
LOAD, right? It was just a normal, and I think it was talking about loading a gun or something. I don't even think it was about that. But the porn bots jump on you. It's like you log in and there's like 20 different porn bot, comments, and
no kidding.
Yeah, it's like, Jesus, Titwillow Christ, where are you fucking people hiding at?
Wow, I don't have that. I mean,
yeah, and in real life, it's like some 300-pound dude with armpits like a Jackson Pollock painting. He's just fucking sitting there, like he's got some algorithm that detects the words load and wiener, and God, he's got to be having a field day with the recent news.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're at that point though where. I think this is so interesting, and we've talked about this on the good old Hate Bit podcast from time to time about, they say that adults' imaginations kind of wane over time, and I'll say that the internet has brought us that. Adults' imaginations have gone through the fucking roof.
Yeah.
And we could talk about that at length, or we don't have to, but in more ways than one, but it's just interesting because if you put the word girls with fucking anything, porn, it must be porn. girls and hot dogs, girls and tires, girls and fucking olive trees, fucking porn. People just immediately draw to that, and then they start to imagine the porn. And
or a mediocre Motley Crue album.
Yeah, and then
or a mediocre Motley Crue album.
And it's like it's kind of like, I think the way wrestling fans, like, how wrestling fans will talk about some fucking guy from some period in wrestling and some other fucking guy, some actor, what if these guys had a wrestling match? Like, it'd be a bunch of boring shit. Just because you mix these two things that you kind of like doesn't mean you're going to get the end product that you so desire.
Yeah, no shit.
You can ask Tanya Harding about that. Plus, you have to be like 30 to get that joke.
This is true. Dude, I'm actually a little too young to get that joke.
But I know, but you were there. Why? Because of the imaginative people on the internet. I'm a bit too young. Like, I think I was like 8 when that happened. But
I know it happened when I
But suddenly the fucking Olympics were important because there was domestic violence.
Yes.
Now the Olympics are important because it might lead to an international incident.
Yeah, or international incident, or you might witness some guy snapping his femur clean the fucking toilet.
Oh gosh! Television. We didn't have a Hate Bit podcast over the summer like we had expected to, like we had planned to, so we didn't get to talk about that. Did you see the Olympics?
Oh no, just that. Oh my God! That's what's happening to the Olympics. It's just turning into a snuff film.
It's just like I've always said that the Olympics wants to be pro wrestling. It wants to have that vibe, and I was
just say that I was expecting Scott Steiner to start stomping the guy in the corner.
Well, no, I was thinking about all the spots on the. Have you seen the spot? Oh, you probably heard me last week. The spots on the apron. No, you haven't seen people getting pile driver on the apron, power bomb on the apron.
That's right. You were talking about that last week with It's ridiculous.
And it seems like that's the only thing that they wanted to talk about the Olympics. Oh, well, this person fell down and possibly career threatening, and where they're making no fucking money at the Olympics.
No shit.
So not only they're getting injured, they're getting fucking robbed. And did you hear about that shit too?
Yeah, no shit. Well, not only that, but you look at the guys, most of the runners, let's be honest, they tend to hail from less than affluent nations on the African continent and so forth.
Running from shit is their MO, man.
I know, no shit. They're used to chasing a water buffalo with a stick, but it's like you're taking these guys who already have no money and robbing them further.
Yeah, I mean, it's
and
just
they might rip their leg off.
Yeah, well, like the one I heard, the one that cracked me up, because I remember this. I remember this in the weeks coming up to the Olympics. All the guys in my band in Dracon, I was telling them, some shit's going to go down. Something bad is, and the worst part is, I mean, somebody's going to get kidnapped, somebody's going to get murdered, somebody's going to get shot in front of children, something like that. And the tough part is, you wouldn't find out about it till weeks after the Olympics happen. We're not going to find out about some shit until next year or the next Olympics of what really happened.
Yeah.
But
kind of like that shit that happened with the guys. What did happen with that? They pretended they were held at gunpoint.
Okay, not only that. First and foremost, here's the thing: not only were people getting robbed, then we had people making up that they were robbed,
fictitious robbing.
And then it turns out that somebody was on drugs, and so somebody really did get robbed, but wasn't sure if they had. Like, remember how I said wrestling's getting like the Olympics? The Olympics kids are like fucking getting like, date rape drugs and shit. And I'm like, what happened to God? If Michelle Kwan could see us now, God,
and it's hilarious too, because if you watch wrestling now, you can hear from anybody who used to be in the business or whatever, the Kevin Nashes or the whoever, whenever they go back into a guest spot, they're all like, dude, back in the day, we were all addicted to Coke and beer and shit. These guys are addicted to fucking PlayStation 2.
Yeah, they're addicted to skinny jeans and the fucking PlayStation Vita. And not to slight them, but to be fair, they draw less money and they have to spend more money on video games. But then again, blow was a lot more expensive than video games, so fuck that shit. Who cares?
Not to slight them, you just said they own a Vita. What the fuck?
Well, no, I mean, if anybody owns a Vita, if you paid for the memory card, then you're already in the red. But that's aside from the point. The point is the Olympics were some bullshit, okay? Because what happened was, don't make this about video games. You're trying to make this all fun and shit. Fuck that. But what happened was, I guess the Australians were the first ones to come into the Olympic hotel. And I guess got into the hotel. Now, when you think of hotels, everyone think about hotels really quickly. If you've been to one. Some people haven't, and I don't blame you. But think about a hotel. Think about what a hotel is supposed to provide, right? They get into their hotel rooms. There are no beds. And there's no showers to take a dump. Or to shower. Like all the faucets and the fixtures are not there.
Yeah.
So everything you're supposed to do in a hotel has been taken away from the Australians.
Apparently, they thought this was going to be Bob Vila's hotel room.
Apparently, they did. Yeah, this old Olympics. This Brazilian Olympics.
Yes.
But so now these guys have to sleep on box springs because they'll have mattresses tomorrow. I mean, this is either like incompetence or these guys have the balls you would have to carry around in a wheelbarrow. I've never thought to invite someone over to my house and say, yeah, no fucking bed for you.
Oh man, that's happened to me so many fucking times. You have no idea. Everyone has that one friend who's like, yeah, dude, we're gonna have a big party. And
or anybody who's ever been on tour. Have you been on tour?
Oh, of course, yeah, that too. No,
the show on tour, but I expected it. I expected it on tour.
You do expect to get fucked on tour. You get canny about it though if you tour enough. You learn, like, you get a friend in every town that you just kind of exploit for money and rides.
Well, yeah, although also, and you got your one friend, like, we're going to go over to Craig's house? No, Craig's got them fucked up pillows.
That's true.
Or something like that. But anyway, so then the Australians are having to sleep on box springs. And I think they were lucky they got fucking box springs, right? Yeah. And they don't get to shower, and apparently they're going to have to go to the hotel over tomorrow. Like, they were going to get passes from this hotel to go to the other hotel to shower.
Yeah.
Which, how the fuck is that going to work out? I have no idea. And then there's a fire, like a fire alarm goes off in the middle of the night while they're sleeping on box springs. and they get up. Now, dig this. There's no fixtures in the bathroom, but they had fire sprinklers. That was weird. Like, wow, that was very un-Brazil. Like, I figured Brazil would have cut a lot more corners than that. So they were lucky they had a fire alarm in the first place.
Yeah, fuck. I'd expect the sprinklers to shoot saline solution and Coke. What are you talking about?
That's only when they're handing out samples. That's at those hooker hotels. What are you talking about? This is the Olympics. PBS has more money than this. Come on.
As opposed to the hotels in Brazil that do not have any prostitution going on at all.
Well, it was day one, so there's at least going to be a very little.
A warm-up period.
Right. You have to have that. Because, it can't be like fucking meatballs like the first time out. Yeah! They gotta, it's a poor country. You can't, because then they're going to know there's money there.
You got to prime your prostitution.
Yeah, exactly. But then there's an alarm, and all the Australians and whoever's in this building have to go outside, right? And they're standing outside in their underwear because they thought the building was on fire. Because naturally you wouldn't think they're just fucking with you in the middle of the night. So, and I saw pictures of the paper, and there's some good-looking Australian broads. I was genuinely surprised, standing around, and they got their PJs or whatever, and they're, like this, pictures in the paper, and then they went inside, and they had been fucking robbed during the fire drill. It's like the only thing worse than being robbed is being robbed in your underwear.
And being Australian.
And, well, they're mostly robbers anyway, so I guess they had it coming. That's right, I fucking went there. But here's the thing. We can get done with the Olympics, but I will say this about the Olympics. You'll notice if anybody watched it, NBC went out of their fucking way to not show you Brazil. They showed you some sand, they showed you some trees, they showed you a hotel.
Water.
You got to see the water. You got to see the highway. But then when they showed the golf, just fucking massive smog clouds. Like it was like a fucking Sepultura album talking about the fucking pollution in the clouds in the distance. It's like, man, that's why those cats live here. That's why they got the fuck out of Brazil and came here. Anyway, that's enough for the Olympics. Anyway, because now I'm getting hurt. I'm getting depressed.
Or either that, or I'm going to start talking about Brazilian thrash.
We could talk about some Brazilian thrash. I mean.
Fucking Corzis?
Corzis
is bad.
Actually, I was going to bring up Nervosa myself.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Have you seen that band? I want to tell you. I want to talk about Nervosa for a second because somebody on here and whoever's in the chat section. Hi to everybody in the chat section, by the way. Let me know who it was that brought Nervosa to my attention. But Nervosa brings two of my favorite pastimes to the forefront. Well, because they have a very much Brazilian influence, obviously, but they sound a lot like Creator. They like Creator, which is prevalent amongst like bands like from Brazil, like Tormentor and things like that, and Excretor.
Sodom's really big over there too.
Yeah, there you go. So the German thing. So they've got like that Latin tinge, we'll call it, Teutonic thrash sound crossed with great big fat asses in tight pants. I cannot tell you my appreciation for great big fat Brazilian asses, young great big fat Brazilian asses in tight camo. I didn't know there were camo stretch pants, but there are, and coupled with a bullet belt.
That's got to be a historic ladies and gentlemen.
Let me tell you, it was an historic happening when I learned of this band, and then they turned around for me. It was like, and then they came to town, and I was sick, and I feel like I was being punished for something.
Oh dear. See, that seems to be happening habitually with me, though.
Every time it's a good show because it's getting rarer and rarer.
Yeah, no shit.
There are so many metal bands because, I live in what I like to call Tampa West. There's a lot of metal bands that live here, but they go elsewhere to make their money.
Yeah.
And so they don't play around here.
Same here. All the rock stars retire.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, all the rock stars retire because of your fucking tax situation and,
Yeah.
And I understand that. Is Alice still there?
Absolutely.
Let's see, where would he go?
Yeah, no shit.
Where would he go? Because he's from LA, right?
No, he's from
middle of the country.
Here.
Detroit.
He's from here, then he moved to Detroit, then he moved back.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, you can golf every day, and that's pretty much Alice's deal.
That is absolutely Alice's deal. God, it's why he has the complexion of a baseball glove, but
oh my gosh, yes. He looks like Jack Albertson after a bender and a shoe shine with a paintbrush. I mean, wow.
He does. He looks a little like a shrunken head, but to his credit, he always looked like a shrunken head.
That's the thing. Whoever's making the fucking shrunken heads owes him a royalty.
It's true.
I think that's absolutely true.
But no, I mean, when you're ugly and you look like you're 50 years old when you're 18.
Oh, I know. I mean,
huge advantage.
I know. I mean, why do you think that I'm 18 was such a pissed off song?
Yeah.
I'm 18 and I look like I qualify for Social Security.
So those are the lines he's talking about forming on his face and hands. That makes sense now.
See? There you go. There you go. God damn. See, that was a truth bomb just then. That's a way to live your life. If you look like shit, own it.
It's true. Yeah, look at
because I mean, look at Mustaine. Dave Mustaine looks like a catfish, and he still draws dollars. You know what? We should talk about this. You know what? You know who I saw the other day doing a promo was Marty Friedman.
Yeah,
Marty Friedman looks like a fucking $1 million. He must be like 49, and he looks like
he's off in Japan, tentacle fucking 15-year-old girls, and rubbing fish oil on his T-zone. I mean,
yeah, he looks like $1 million, whereas Dave Mustaine looks like that catfish monster from the Godzilla movies. You know what the one I'm talking? King Ghidorah or whatever.
I would have I'm more of a Mega Man fiend. I would have gone with Volt Catfish.
Even better. See, that would have worked with this audience far better. Over Godzilla movies. What the fuck am I talking about? But yeah, Dave Mustaine, on the other hand, looks like, you know what? You tell me what he looks like, because it's probably funnier.
Dave Mustaine looks like a really old woman at this point. Is pretty much
so he looks like Scottsdale, Arizona.
Yes, okay. He does look like Scottsdale, Arizona.
Yeah, at least he looks like the roads of Scottsdale, Arizona.
Well, he used to live here. I don't think he does anymore.
Yeah. Well, I remember he was on the Gigantour some years ago. For those of you that can remember the Gigantour, which was supposed to be the big thing that was going to replace Ozfest, but but he did. We saw that with the wife before this wife. At Irvine Meadows Amphitheater in Irvine in Orange County, California. And he was on the Gigantour, and he cut this long dissertation about how he hates Arizona, and is like, dude, no one gives a fuck. Play your songs. It's like, I moved my ass right back here. That's my Dave Mustaine impression. I moved my ass back here to California. It's like, no one gives a fuck. Play Holy Wars already. God damn it.
You got to put vibrato on that grunt. Then it's Dave Mustaine. What the fuck is that? You're not. Lemmy doesn't have vibrato in his grunting. Like, what are you doing, you jagoff?
Well, I mean,
but at least it's pitchy. At least
it's still. I mean, well, yeah, he's more pitchy than he used to be.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
How he did that, I have no idea. I mean, go back and listen to "Killing Is My Business." The guitar solos are there to cover up everything else.
That's true. I've always said, I wish Megadeth is one of those bands I wish they had gone in the way of Anthrax and had a dedicated vocalist, like a guy who could sing. Because I've never liked Mustaine's vocals.
Well, you know what though? I mean, I've been of the opinion though that those songs without him would come off as kind of superfluous, and just like because they would really sound like finger stretching exercises.
A little bit.
I mean, because he is. I mean, because. Well, for instance, you could say the same thing of Tom Araya. Tom Araya is not a good singer. No one would ever say Tom Araya is a good singer. However, Tom Araya makes Slayer. I used to, think, why did they pick him? But he is the mouth of Slayer.
To make up for Kerry King. That's why.
Because, Jeff Hanneman's gone, so. Yeah, I'll take a pot shot at Gary Holt behind my back. I could do that. Fuck that.
What was God thinking? Just looking down. Those guys have been.
Well, as we already know, since 2001, he hates us all.
That's true. He apparently does, because he took the one talented member of the band. I don't know.
Well, but say what you want about Slayer, they did get the best release date in the history of rock and roll.
That's true.
God Hates Us All was released on Tuesday, September the 11th, 2001. Yeah. And I think God just hated Kerry King, but he always likes to just drag other people into his fucking problems.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Slayer and Michael Jackson. I think Michael Jackson was supposed to have a comeback tour then. How did that work out?
Is that what happened? Is that what happened?
There's some symbolism.
That's some Bathory shit right there. Fucking Michael Jackson had to die so Kerry King might live.
That's true.
It's like, no, Kerry, no matter what you do, your hair's not coming back.
No, sir.
And he, unfortunately, he has a head that looks like a penis. That's why he tattooed it. Did you ever see, what was it, Undisputed Attitude, where he had the things on the side? He looked like fucking Mr. T.
If he could pull off a moonsault, he could just Bam Bam Bigelow it the fuck up, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, but at like 5'7", you're not gonna, impress a whole lot of people.
Yeah, no shit.
That scared me when I first met him, and like I'm much taller than he is. Like,
dude, that's rampant in metal. That's rampant as
except for in Scandinavia.
Yeah, that's the exact reverse is true.
The exact reverse.
Although Fenris is a little long gnome. Fenris from Darkthrone.
Yes. Well, that's why you always see him sitting down in interviews.
Always sitting down, always. Or you see him walking alone in the woods.
Yeah,
but if you compare
alone in these and you can't see the top of the trees. You ever notice that?
What is this, a redwood forest? Those are so huge.
Careful, you'll fall into Middle Earth.
Someone's garden. He's pushing a wheelbarrow under a giant ceramic mushroom.
Well, especially because the way he wears that, whatever the fuck this is, the neck beard or whatever. It's not helping his case. His face looks like a shovel.
Yeah, what you don't know is he's about to walk into one of those trees and start baking cookies. That's what's going on.
And they're going to plan an attack on the Rice Krispie guys.
Yes. Sneak attack. Panzerfaust.
Indeed.
And no, before anyone asks, I have not heard the new Darkthrone record yet.
Is there a new Darkthrone record out?
I heard it's kind of a return to the old style. So I am looking forward to hearing it, but I haven't heard it yet.
The old, the only thing that's ever really evolved with me that I've noticed from them is their technology.
Yeah.
I mean, you go listen to old, and what's funny is you go listen to that old, especially old Darkthrone. Darkthrone seems to epitomize it, but it's also kind of like, I hesitate to give anybody any credit for this, but it's like the gold standard for that period in black metal. Because if you sucked worse than that, how did you do that? But if you had better production than that, you were a fag. Like, that's a real tight space you got to get in there. Because, like, back then, if you had keyboards, they would stab you in the head and then, like, eat your brain and tell everybody about it.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens when you join Mayhem.
Which is what happened to Emperor.
Well, Emperor managed to draw some dollars, though.
Oh, they did. They got huge, and now they're doing the perpetual greatest hits tour. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, they became like the Beatles of black metal.
They're kind of Kiss right now a little bit. They're just running around. They haven't released an album since 2001. Was it the last one?
Yeah, I think so. That was Anthems, right?
No, it was Prometheus.
Or 9.
It was Prometheus.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And they're pretty much they've just been touring on that material for the last fucking 16 years. Like,
that's how Iron Maiden's been. No, I take that back. Iron Maiden should be doing that, and they're not.
They should. They're the exact reverse of that.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, it's weird because they're like the Beatles or like individual members of Dream Theater. Like, if they're involved in a record, there's a big fucking sticker right on the front to tell you that Trim or Samoth or even people that have been related to Emperor or Isan worked on this record. Whereas if they had stayed together, who the fuck cares?
Or that Mortis Goblin who's been writing his association with Emperor for the last
he played bass for one tour, right?
Like 1 or 2 albums. Like, he was the bassist.
What's funny is I like what Mortis does. I don't understand why it's called black metal. Like, that's electronic dance music.
Yeah, it's Scandinavian music.
Yeah, I mean, you see, with Finnish lovemaking music.
You buy my album for $15.20.
But I mean, I like what Mortis does and everything, but I don't know why that's called black metal. I think he's just sold as black metal.
Yeah.
And I think because he wears some leather.
Occasionally.
Yeah. Oh, you know what we can talk about right now? I want to talk about this since you're here. Have you noticed this? It has never been more cool to dress like you listen to heavy metal than ever before. Meanwhile, heavy metal is still graveyard dead.
Totally graveyard. You are absolutely correct. I was
Expand on this. Tell the people about this.
Yeah. So I finally got digital cable, right? Which I never watch. I don't know why. But they, you skip through the channels long enough and you get to the music selection channels. Where they play the music.
Yeah, the much music or whatever they call it.
And you get the different genres, and so you can skip through each channel, and it goes from genre to genre. So I get down into the alternative indie hipster genre. Black leather biker jackets and black skinny jeans as far as the eye can see. Meanwhile, they're playing elevator music with CB radio vocal effects. And can somebody tell me who the fuck sent out the memo that every single hipster song has to have some guy singing like it sounds like he's way off in the distance, singing through a megaphone, like way the fuck off in the distance?
I think that's because they all heard "Video Killed the Radio Star" and figured that's what I want to do for a living.
Mock deep, thy name is indie. Jesus Christ.
Well, I'm curious. I mean, maybe you can tell me because did you know we have indie metal now? I heard someone call something indie metal. It's like all metal is indie. There's no money here. None. If you make any money, I mean, you can make money in heavy metal. I'm sure you've made a little bit. I've made a little bit. But then I ate something and then I didn't make any money anymore. Okay?
I bought a burger.
Yeah. No. I got French fries. The burger went to the singer because he thought he was drawing money, but that's aside from that. It's always so cute when singers think they draw money.
That's true.
The only thing worse than that is when lead guitar players.
As a singer, I can actually.
Well, yeah, I know. Well, I've had to work as a singer too, and if I ever find out who told me if you sing for a rock band you get girls, I'm gonna punch the fuck out of them. The ever-loving fuck. Yeah, we have indie metal now, which I thought was interesting. But I'm just so surprised that how indie is a genre. Like it went from being a description of a financial situation to a pejorative. Yeah. And now it's a genre.
And now it's a genre.
And now it's a genre. And because all indie means, to me, it means broke.
That's true.
And these guys have a lot of high-end technology at their disposal that doesn't sound broke. So you sound like you're fucking faking it.
Yeah.
And I mean, if it's one thing to fake being tough, it's another to fake being fake.
No, and it's hilarious too because now you got indie bands that are on like Saturday Night Live, and that they're playing on.
Yeah, it's like this reminds me of the 90s when alternative rock was the mainstream.
Yeah, you know who I think fucked that up for everyone? I think it was a combo, but the main one was the Strokes. I think the Strokes kind of did that, where it was like.
See, I'm confused. I always confuse the Strokes and the Killers because I think they came around the same time.
I think they're the same people in disguise.
They're five guys, you need a haircut and wash it.
They put on a Mormon mask and they're the Killers. All of a sudden.
Okay, sure, I'll go along with that. But that's interesting. But yeah, I mean, to dress as though you listen to heavy metal or like heavy metal because they're selling Motorhead shirts at Target.
Yeah,
I mean, and like my nephew who is 4 has a Led Zeppelin T-shirt.
Yeah,
and I know that's because my pops gave it to him, but it's like that's fucking stupid. It's like finding fucking record album postcards everywhere.
That's true.
It's beyond. It's now onto annoying. And again, heavy metal, graveyard dead. There is no money that I'm aware of. Is there anybody?
Unless you're like a 30, 40-year-old band and you can, stadium, you can still do the stadium thing or the small theater thing. You can make money. But if you're a new band, fuck it.
See, that's the thing. I always like it
in like 10 years.
I know, and I like what Metallica. I'm thankful for what Metallica does because they can and all that stuff. But what they're doing is kind of like I'm going to use a beer analogy. Budweiser keeps doing whatever they're doing, regardless if people are buying it or not, because they have the money, right? When business is down for them, they make the same amount of beer.
Yeah.
Metallica churns out the same shit whether people are buying it or not, and that makes sure people remember to go to concerts. That way, if concerts ever get hot again, there was somebody doing it this whole time. There's a model for how to do it.
Yeah.
Bands like them, Iron Maiden, Megadeth to a lesser extent. Fuck you, Dave Mustaine.
Well, Iron Maiden is crazy because they'll go everywhere and sell out every goddamn venue, and it doesn't matter how good their record was. It doesn't matter at all. That it's just Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden came to town. They're going to sell out the damn venue. They might do it 2 nights in a row.
Yeah, like them and Priest always sold out. They sold out smaller buildings in the past, but they always always had that.
Well, when Blaze was in the band, it was a slightly different story.
Oh, well, no, you know, I mean, yeah, there is a difference between fucking the Forum and the Galaxy Theater in Santa Ana.
Yeah.
But they did sell out when there was a lot of people. Sideburns were hip at the
Speaking of selling out, I have the Iron Maiden app here on my phone.
Is that the one that helps you buy the Iron Maiden donuts and the Iron Maiden beer?
Iron Maiden, the flamethrower.
You know, Iron Maiden panties, and they have those. Don't fucking laugh at me. They have those. Oh, there should have been Hate Bit Podcast panties, but I've seen some of the girls that like the Hate Bit Podcast, and I'm going to change the subject. So anyway,
we're transitioning anyways, so it's fine.
I guess. Anyway.
Did you hear the last Maiden record, by the way?
Which one was that?
Book is Souls.
No, I heard the Dance of Death, and I didn't want to hear it anymore.
Let's put it this way. It's 2 discs. It's an original album, and it's 2 discs.
Wow.
Yes. Let's leave it.
See, I mean, because something I've learned, here's something else that's kind of perplexed me.
Yeah.
Is that I've had people, and maybe you get it too, because they have my email address when they have questions, comments, concerns. They contact me at the yellchaosprogram@gmail.com. If they didn't know, they know now.
Plug.
Actually, I'm just asking for trouble is what I'm doing.
It's true. Poking the bear.
No kidding.
Not like Rob Halford pokes the bear, but you understand. So
we don't know. I mean, I imagine he doesn't need to go that route. He's a rich man. I'm sure he has. Never mind. I've had people come to me and say that they want metal albums to be longer.
Yeah.
I've heard that talk that metal records are getting shorter. It's like, you have to understand the era that I came out of, and people around my age, everyone comes from thrash. Everybody, Violence and fucking Sacred Reich and all that stuff. Yeah. You know, that's around that period. Those records were like 27 minutes.
Yeah.
Because when you're
they were better because of that. They were absolutely better.
Because if you're not that good at your instrument yet, you want to get in, say what you got to say, and get the fuck out. The hardcore bands from the 80s knew about that. Hardcore records were like fit on one side of the album.
Yeah.
One side of the vinyl.
That's one of the reasons why, if I can, I understand Venom have re-released like their classic records, and they put all these bonus tracks, and the things like 5 hours long. It's like all this bonus material. You know, the album is like this much of the space on the CD, and the bonus material is this much. It's like, dude, when I can, I go find the original printings with none of the bonus features, because I just want that album with none of the extra shit.
Usually when you find bonuses, that means they've done a remastering or a re-editing without telling you.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Which, I mean, Dave Mustaine is definitely guilty of that. He did that to the entire Megadeth catalog.
It's only bad when it happens like with Ozzy, where...
Well, the thing that's interesting to me is when they load all that stuff on there, it's like you recognize that the people who still listen to you are in their 30s and 40s, and in some cases their 50s. Do you think they have time to sit around and listen to this shit? They want to hear fucking black metal and Countess Bathory and be on their way. Your microphone's off.
Yeah, sorry about that. It's even worse with like Ozzy, where he like he calls it a remaster and it's really a remix. Like
a lot of times.
What is it? Bark at the Moon, where he cut out all of Jakey Lee's guitar parts and remixed it all.
I didn't hear anything about that. I didn't know this existed.
Don't do it. It's the 2002 remaster, I think, and it's a remixed album.
That's funny because there was a remaster in '98. I have that one, and that one's, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, that's the original one. That's a normal remaster. It's like the one with the tiny little portrait of the album cover on it, with the border around it.
Yeah.
That one's fine. It's the one that came out after that where, for some reason, I think Sharon got involved.
Got in a fight with Jake?
Got in a fight with Jake because he had been running his mouth, his drunkard fucking mouth.
hey, that's what lead guitarists do.
It's true. And
ask Kane Roberts about that shit.
No, really?
I've heard him run his mouth about people, because he's out of the business. He doesn't do it as much.
Yeah, he's way out of the business. He's about to release a new record, though.
You'll find that about lead guitarists and professional wrestlers are really similar. They keep all their secrets until they can't draw money, and then they'll tell everybody.
Every goddamn thing. No, he was real. It's funny. The only anecdotal story I have about Kane Roberts, who, for folks who are listening, you need to go right now. Go Google Kane Roberts because he's basically Rambo on guitar. He's actually a little bigger than Rambo.
Oh, yes. Taller, definitely.
Had a machine gun guitar that shot fire out of the fretboard. I mean, and he's a good guitarist, too.
He didn't need all that shit either.
No, he didn't need any of that muscle.
Because he's a lead guitar player, you had to keep up with Alice Cooper.
That's true. But it was great. So the only anecdote I have about Graham Roberts is from a dude who used to come into the comic shop that I worked at. And he said, Kane Roberts, he's at a show and he's a teenager, and Kane Roberts hit on his underage girlfriend. Oh, and they were waiting. And as soon as he walked up, Kane Roberts was like, okay. And he moved on to some other chick. Dude is a gash head. He's like a gash-seeking missile.
Well, that's a funny thing. Is you've sent me a few pictures from, pictures of Kane Roberts because we were laughing about Kane Roberts.
Yeah.
And all of them were filthy pictures with girls that were of questionable age and wearing a lot of makeup. It was the 80s. Everyone wore a lot of makeup.
It's true.
And that stuff probably caused cancer by now. There's going to be a lot of ladies with cancer of the face from the 1980s. But yeah, and so yeah, that's what lead guitarists do, I guess.
Kane Roberts was a badass motherfucker.
Oh no, a great player, definitely. But yeah, lead guitarists are like that. They need some form of psychological validation, and believe me, fucking all those songwriting royalties ain't it.
Yeah, George Lynch. Oof. No, sorry, allergies are acting up. Really old, leathery, hacky allergies.
He thinks he's such an artist, doesn't he? He thinks he's so great.
So many guitarists from the 80s are stuck in the 80s, which is understandable.
No.
That was their glory era. George Lynch is one of the few who is determined to be stuck in the 90s. How does that work?
I think because what he saw in the 90s was erroneously referred to as evolution. And I think he thinks that staying in that place is a process of evolution when evolution means movement.
Yeah. Which, if you've seen his fretwork lately, is not something he's terribly adept at.
Oh my gosh, man. He's got varicose veins like my grandmother. It's ridiculous, man. They're like, have you seen them? They're like the fucking dunes from Dune. They're
sandworms.
Yeah, it's like, oh my gosh.
No, and he apparently was into weightlifting for a while, right? Because he was all roided out for a while, and he never got as big as Kane Roberts, which is like kind of
he was. I would liken him to like Rick Rude. Remember when Rick Rude got on the sauce and he got really cut?
Yeah,
he was really cut, but he never got big. Whereas Kane Roberts was definitely big.
But by then he was kind of middle-aged, so there's a little Jack LaLanne thrown in there too.
That's okay. I'll go along with that. Some natural stuff, and that's when you think that drinking juices is going to save your life.
Yes.
30 fucking years of pizza and cocaine is going to be undone with an afternoon of fucking juicing.
Yes. I'm going to make some homemade V8, and I'm going to finger the Grim Reaper.
Let me get some pickled ginger juice. That'll take care. That's what I need. Yeah, and
the key to immortality.
Yeah, and it was just fucking ridiculous.
No, anyway, so he did weightlifting competitions out here.
What kind of competition?
He did weightlifting competitions.
Oh, weightlifting. Okay.
Out here while he was living in Phoenix.
Wait, weightlifting or bodybuilding?
bodybuilding. Sorry.
Okay.
Bodybuilding competitions. And so it's even, I wish it were weightlifting. That would have been pretty okay. But he's describing being out there like glistening with oil in a Speedo. About the last thing I want to hear about in my life is George Lynch oiled up in a Speedo at age 50.
I wish I hadn't heard. I'm not old enough to hear this, but go on.
And at a certain point, he just looked around one day while he's, I guess, flexing and smelling like coconut oil. And he said to himself, what the fuck am I doing? And I'm like, well, it took him 20 years to get where the audience got, but okay.
Does he not remember the being chained up in the Dream Warriors video? Like, you're going to reconsider your career at this point? Like, when that was like a clear 10 years earlier? Wow.
Not when he glued a dead skunk to his dome. That
too. So it's not that I don't think George Lynch is a douche. I just think he's not paying attention.
You know, that's reputed to be the reason why he was not allowed to be an Aussie. Because of his skunk haircut.
Oh.
Ozzy hated his skunk haircut and was like, well, he doesn't look good enough to be in my band.
Ozzy's talking about the way people look?
No shit. And this is during the period where he looked like Bette Midler on coke. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, but Ozzy auditioned. Everybody you and I have ever heard who ever touched six strings can claim to have auditioned or played for or played with or jammed with Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah, but George Lynch is a slightly different situation because he actually beat out Randy Rhoads originally.
Really?
And then he was like, he looks like a fucking tard. I'm not going to go with this guy. I'm going with Randy Rhoads, who kind of had the same haircut. So I don't understand.
Well, yeah, I mean, Randy Rhoads, I had a teacher in school, Mrs. Strickland, and she had the same haircut. But Randy Rhoads more or less had Garth Algar before Garth Algar.
Yeah.
So
and he looked like Grace Under Fire. I don't know.
There you go. Anyway. That's a good one. Okay, that's
Brett Butler. Anyways, so fucking he apparently beat out Randy Rhoads originally, and then his hair wasn't good enough. And then later on, Randy Rhoads dies, obviously. Mm-hmm. And so he goes back, he gets a call from Ozzy, and he's like ready to go. Like apparently he was on tour with them. He didn't play live, but he was just watching the band and whatever, getting ready to be in the band, learning the set or whatever. And something happened. We'll never know what it was, but given George Lynch's personality quirks, I can goddamn imagine. And Ozzy was like, I'll never speak to this man again. Like, I might have him killed. And he lost the job, and it was Jakey Lee instead.
Okay, well, and which was the better decision? We don't know, because it wouldn't have lasted long anyway. How Zakk Wylde keeps coming back? Because Zakk Wylde, every time I see Zakk Wylde give an interview, it seems to be right after he's rejoined Ozzy's band.
Yeah.
It's like, this guy is from New Jersey. What the fuck did the Osbourne family do to this kid?
I don't know.
Do you remember what he looked like? And like No Rest for the Wicked, lean and cut, and that horrible Randy Rhoads hair. He had that horrible Randy Rhoads hair.
Yeah, and you could see it's two things that did not survive the '80s are
his hair looked better in Rockstar than it did back then.
Yeah, no, Zach. It's just I don't understand why we're not allowed to see Zakk Wylde's chin anymore. But okay. Although if you watch those videos, you get some idea.
Yeah, exactly. Well, again, refer back to Mark Wahlberg's Rockstar, and you'll see exactly why he runs around looking like that.
Yeah.
My God, he looks like Inoki. It's gross.
With a little giant baba thrown in.
With a little giant, in fact, a lot of giant baba. Okay, there was a giant baby between Baba and Inoki, and it is Zakk Wylde's chin. Yeah, but what are they doing to him? I mean, he looked good, lean, and cut. And well, I mean, on the other hand, every time you see him, fucking Heineken.
I think him and Chris Holmes are gradually morphing into the same person.
No, because I think they crossed paths, and Zakk Wylde's on his way down, whereas Chris Holmes got so bad he came out the other side.
I don't know about that. Did you watch his? Have you heard any of his new music, Chris Holmes?
No, mind you, I'm going off. I heard he's still alive,
dude. So, folks, for anyone who's listening right now, Chris Holmes, former guitarist of Wasp, who has done literally nothing since. Literally nothing since Wasp.
Well, he went back to Wasp once or twice, didn't he?
Hasn't been in Wasp. Yeah, he's gone back and forward and back, whatever. It's been kind of a rubber band thing. But he released a new album called Shitting Bricks. And it is the best kind of terrible. He tries to sing. He tries to sing.
Oh, wow. Alrighty.
He's like Lemmy being bludgeoned in the balls with a bat. You would not fucking believe it. He is horrendous. And it's fantastic. The riffs are great. It's like the 80s never ended, right? He learned no tricks in the interim 2 decades.
As it turns out, that can be a positive attribute.
It can, apparently. And he looks horrendous. He looks like Zakk Wylde on a meth bender. He looks absolutely awful. And he can't sing. He has no teeth. He can't. Oh man, it's brilliant.
Oh yeah, because he was a bit into crack cocaine, right?
Oh, he was a bit into a lot of stuff.
Well, I understand he was a bit of a cocaine connoisseur.
Yeah. He's the kind of guy who talks about the bouquet of the cocaine.
Exactly, actually, absolutely, and how it blooms.
An excellent year.
Right up here and all that stuff. Yeah, no, he does not discriminate on cocaine. If there is cocaine, Chris Holmes is not above it. He's usually beneath it. And there you are. My gosh, Chris Holmes. You pull that.
I'm telling you though, man, do not, as soon as this is over, you need to go watch these
Chris videos. Holmes shitting. Is it just called Chris Holmes?
Chris Holmes. Yeah, the album's called Shitting Bricks, but there's 2 music videos for this. One was not enough.
Wait, when was this record? When did this record come out?
Last year.
And he's shooting music videos?
Music videos. I'm not even
Who's paying money for music videos?
And he moved. Okay, so Chris Holmes is he's still high as a kite, right?
Good for him.
But now he's kind of crazy and political too, a little bit. He kind of got a little Blackie Lawless on us, a little bit. And
this is going to come full circle with Dave Mustaine. You watch.
A little bit. And so he's like, I don't like the U.S. government taking my money or whatever. I'm going to move to France. It's like, you move to a country where they charge you 90% tax?
And where they have no nuclear missiles?
No, let's translate that. He is dodging a delinquent child support check and no fucking mistake. That's all there is.
And if anything France was ever good at is helping people who committed crimes against children hide.
Yes. Oh, Roman Polanski reference?
Oh, do you know it?
Is that a Polanski reference?
Well, that was actually a Satan reference, but sure, why not?
See, this is why the world misses the Hate Bit podcast.
I know. I mean, well, they don't know what they're missing, I mean, because this is what we're like when we're happy.
I know, right?
See, you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna get one of those fucking things on change.org. There's gonna be a petition for bring back the Hate Bit podcast. Start paying us money. I'm gonna start a petition to get you all to pay us money.
And I think our new theme music will be Chris Holmes.
We're gonna use some Chris. We just might.
He wrote a song. He wrote an entire song about busting a load in a girl's mouth, and he got a girl to sing background vocals on it. And it's called In Your Mouth, and all it is just it's the most foul. I don't even know. You have to listen to this music. You have to hear this.
I'll check it out. I might be repulsed, but we'll see.
It's a masterpiece. It's the Hands of Fate of metal.
Wow. So just absolutely splashed with single entendre.
Horrendous. Oh man, can't recommend it highly enough, folks.
Well, we'll keep that in mind. My gosh, so he's going to France. But yeah, did you never notice that there seems to be a thing in heavy metal? If you hang around long enough and you ever talk to Alex Jones, you all wind up in this little camp full of people that includes Blackie Lawless, Dave Mustaine,
Danzig a little bit.
Huh?
Danzig a little bit.
Danzig. But Danzig, I think Danzig's ribbing because he's on Portlandia too.
Yeah.
So bit. I think Danzig's having a little fun in his old age, like Robert De Niro.
He just needs money. He just needs a little extra cash to pay for his hair pieces. So.
Well, not only that, I'm pretty sure he wants to remind everybody that if he ever does decide to tour regularly, that he's still alive.
Yes.
Just like Donald Trump. Donald Trump was just trying to remind people that he's alive and to have something to write off in his taxes. And then they said, fuck, you're running for president, aren't you? Yes, I am. That's what I insist. And then, but we can talk about that some other time. Actually, that's actually a similar circle now that I think about it. And John Schaefer from Iced Earth, I guess, fits it. Well, I guess sometimes he's in, sometimes he's out.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with John Schaefer. He's weird.
He loves being surrounded by young men.
He's a strange, different breed of cat. Because ostensibly he's like, 1 minute, like he's recording The Glorious Burden, which is like the ultimate America fuck yeah album, right? Like that's what it is.
Yeah.
Then he's cutting promos about the government gonna come for my guns and
whatever. And
yeah, the government did 9/11. Like it's weird. He's a strange breed of cat. I don't know what's going on.
I mean, he's
a pussy too.
He just strikes me as, he's a creative person, but he strikes me as somebody who's easy to lead.
A little bit.
Which is funny he picked a hell of a line of work for that type of person. But yeah, he seems like the kind of person, and I don't know him personally, but he seems like the kind of person that people get in his he gets people in his confidences and then they totally fuck him over.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's happened many times. Like that means that you can't recognize a pattern. So, and if you watch the Alex Jones show and you can't recognize a pattern, you should turn off the Alex Jones show. You really should, because
you're probably liable to take it seriously.
Right? How he's not on Fox News, I have no idea, because Glenn Beck stole his whole deal.
Yeah.
Glenn Beck just does it with a chalkboard. That's the only difference.
Have you checked in on Glenn Beck lately?
I have not. He went to radio, and who gives a flying fuck about radio?
He has lost. He lost his mind, found it, lost it again. He's not even in the same zip code as his mind at this point. He has completely. This election has driven him so far off he is the cliff.
But the thing is, this election isn't really an election, though. This has been a fucking long, dissertained wrestling promo that it will not stop. I've always said that modern entertainment, media entertainment, stole everything it knows from professional wrestling because, frankly, wrestling stole it from the radio and vaudeville.
Yeah.
But, which sounds like 100,000 years ago when I say it like that. But anyway, and presidential politics has, Jesse Ventura said this long before I did. There's another bullshit artist for you, Jesse Ventura.
Oh, yeah.
I love Jesse Ventura. I think he's funny, but he's a fucking bullshit artist. It's okay to listen to Jesse. Just don't believe Jesse. You can do both of those things. Just like Bill Cosby. See, that's fucked up. Bill Cosby was not supposed to be a punchline, and he was. You see? If we get the Hate Bit podcast back together, we're gonna spend at least 10 minutes of every episode clearing the good name of Bill Cosby.
Clearing the good and pudding.
But the thing is, that's not gonna work out for Bill Cosby. It was like, if these motherfuckers are on the side of Bill Cosby, motherfuck Bill Cosby.
It's like an endorsement, a reverse endorsement.
I know. It's kind of like all around here, like fucking Congressman Darrell Issa was a supporter of Donald Trump and not fucking anymore because he's losing.
No, Jello, and maybe we could get a little Jello Jigglers tie-in, a little bit.
I was hoping for the resurrection of the pudding pop, but we could do that too.
I don't want Jello pudding pops. God damn, people. Fuck.
But this election cycle, I've talked about it on here. It's such a fucking wrestling promo. It's ridiculous. It's disgusting, and I wish I were making some money off it. I really do, but I'm not. So,
yeah, I could cut a few political videos, but I've abstained.
Yeah, well, you do a little less material than you. Are you eating leftover Halloween candy? Somebody has to, right?
It's my duty.
But in any event, it's fucking ridiculous. And people think, what if Donald Trump is the president? It's like, I really hope he does become the president so I don't have to fucking hear from him ever again.
I hope he becomes president. Well, number one, because I support him, and number two, because of all the celebrities that I hate that have said they will leave the country if he's elected president.
Well, yeah, I mean that'll make more room for celebrities like you and I.
We will live in a country without Miley Cyrus. Consider that for a moment.
All right.
You
understand that how celebrity works is that means that if they go, you and I move up.
It's true.
See, I mean, because when we started doing this thing way back when, this was just some fucking pittance. This bullshit they do on the computer with their videos. Now we're on fucking people's TVs. There's at least a handful of people watching this on a Roku. I know that.
Yeah. Now we just have to get balls naked and swing on a wrecking ball.
Well, there have been people lobbying for a shirtless Yell Chaos for quite some time, so we might be able to make some money out of that. We'll do that live, though. We're going to do that at, like, Gamester 81's Game On Expo or something.
We'll have a peck-popping competition.
Yeah, but then fucking Billy Hudson's going to show up and then tear his fucking ankle and,
Didn't one of the Game Chasers just get their channel shut down or something?
I didn't hear anything about that.
People were flipping out on Twitter today about it.
I wasn't on the Twitter today, except I saw that thing that you put up. So, no, I didn't hear about that. If anybody knows, please fill us in. I wonder why. I mean,
it's YouTube.
They're installing all these fucking artificial protocol now because YouTube has become a channel on people's televisions.
It has.
So, I mean, it finally, it was only a matter of time. I mean, 5 years ago or 6 years ago, I would have said no, but now it's fucking real. Does it draw dollars? I know the political fucking ads work every single time.
They certainly do.
I want to say something about this election cycle. This has been the most gutless. I'll just say gutless. Gutless fucking election cycle ever, because all the attack ads, they don't even put their fucking name on it anymore.
No.
This paid for by some conservative group of some fucking part of Arizona.
It's because they're getting so fucking scummy. That's why.
Well, that's also because the parties can't fucking hang their names on a candidate anymore. It's exactly what we always wanted. It's a big fucking toss-up now.
When you wake up every single day and there's a new fake Trump accuser and there's a new batch of WikiLeaks for the other candidate, who's going to put their name on anyone?
Right?
Who?
Right? I mean, 5 years ago, it wouldn't have mattered, but now, like, you and I, we've become like, well, not only, people don't realize this, but we are one of the greatest consumer advocacy groups on the planet.
For gaming, anyway.
For all forms of entertainment. And what do you really buy other than entertainment?
This is true.
Okay? But
you buy it used at a record store now, but
I've seen that. And the used record stores are the ones with the reasonable prices. Anyone who actually sells video games wants $100,000 for everything.
No, it's true, man. You don't have Zia out there, but you go to Vegas on occasion.
They got Zia in Vegas, so I go to Zia whenever I'm in Vegas. And then they're pretty goddamn reasonable.
They're extremely reasonable.
They're not cheap, which fucking pisses me off, but
Well, and they're cheap. They're cheap with the prices, but the great thing is they actually give you some cash if you trade stuff in. I don't trade stuff in very often.
Neither do I.
Yeah, but like if you go to GameStop, it's pretty much, hey, bend over and spell run. But if you go over to Zia, they're like, oh, what's the fair market value? I'm gonna look this up on Amazon and give you half of the fair market value. It's like, what the fuck? They're like breaking out the Kelly Blue Book. Jesus Christ, it's a CD.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
I'm gonna have an assay on this, like it's a Dead Sea Scroll.
I heard somewhere that somebody wanted to assemble a Beckett or like Kelly value guide for video games. It's like, number one, that won't work. This market's not that big, and I want to give out your address so people can put flaming bags of dog shit on your fucking porch. Fuck you. It's people like you that made this bullshit the bullshit it is.
Well, is it coincidental that right before the comic book market crashed, they printed the first ever comic price guide?
Yeah, in fact, I want to say that guide had something to do with that.
Yeah, once you give people an excuse to never drop the price on something, that's when you kind of kill the collector's market because there's no more haggle to it.
Well, not only that is, when you're given a jeweler's glass, that's when a speculator is born.
Yeah.
And
it's a speculator's market. I've talked about this before. I forget what the name of the rant was that I did about it, but it was.
Well, there's so many.
Yeah, I forget which one it was exactly. I think it It was all about the retro gaming market and how cartoonish the fucking prices have gotten.
That was like last year you did that, right?
Yeah, it was like a year ago or something. But oh my God, have you gone on eBay recently?
I have not.
It's a cartoon.
Well, not only that is the prices. I had a couple of extras, and I didn't have a chance to unload them, and it was off with like a couple of boxes that I just wanted to get the fuck out of my house. So I threw them on eBay, and just just open auction, just here, whatever. And the prices that people were paying for, like, I had a copy of. It was on the NES. It was like Blades of Steel. Someone paid like $24 for Blades of Steel. Like, are you out of your fucking mind?
You remember when you could walk into GameStop and get that for $5?
I remember when you could walk into GameStop and it fell out. No one, it's amazing to me. And also the money that people are paying for prototypes, incomplete games. They're not really games. They are code loaded onto old silicone inside a plastic case that smells like your grandmother's closet.
Yeah, $65 for a repro cartridge of the unreleased Shadow game for SNES.
Oh my, yeah, I saw that.
It's not even a what the.
And it's just,
And how illegal is that too?
To sell somebody else's work like that's never been approved for retail sale? Absolutely. I don't know. Did you listen last week to the program last week?
Yeah.
Okay. And I did that thing about, with all these prices and all this stuff, fucking towns and counties that are allowing these expos to go on where this kind of money is changing hands are going to find out about this because they're not getting their sales tax. And then that's really going to fuck a lot of people.
That is one thing. I do not understand that, how they can have all these gaming expos and nobody pays sales tax on anything.
Well, I don't know that, but what was one? There's some fucking joke out here, in Los Angeles. They call it the SoCal Gaming Expo, and they may as well have had this thing in a fucking shoebox, which a lot of them usually are. You'll notice a lot of game marts pop up on shoeboxes on somebody's fucking, for you in Britain, the car boot. I wanted to be a little international flavor. Right. I could do one more. Taco. But they had it at this place that's usually a flea market. So
you could walk down the street and actually film this live on location.
We could absolutely.
Anyway, sorry, interrupted.
But they had this thing, and they were asking X amount of dollars for exhibitors, which are actually fucking sales tables, or they call it trade tables, which is bullshit. But anyway, and they're only asking They were asking like $35. Like, there's no way fucking sales tax is included in that. And there's no way someone has the balls, because I've seen there's all these little spindly college kids think they're so smart. I'm going to bring an expo to my town, and that way I'm going to cultivate the community and, all this fucking bullshit. It's like, you're making fucking dollars off your fellow man. Fuck you. You're not much better than the people that run private prisons.
And it's bullshit because, again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. These games were not rare. These games had high print runs. All these NES games.
They came out of China and Mexico in the 90s when fucking they couldn't give shit away back then.
NES was... Folks, cling fast to your armrests, to any nearby stable surface as we both reveal this to you, folks. Are you ready? Okay. Nintendo was popular as fuck. It was hugely popular. It sold millions of games. These games, some of them had print runs that high.
The original Nintendo, something like 62 million units, which means each one of those had at least one game, which means there are at least 60 million of the games out there.
Jesus Christ. It's just, these games are not rare. They are manufacturing rarity. And the really scummy shit is when you get the eBay snipers who...
The real scummy shit is when you got these sons of bitches who are dragging out games that never got finished and then are convincing kids to pay $120 for a game that's barely finished and sucks because it's rare. It's not rare if it never came out.
Exactly. You're basically...
It's not long before people start just making up games Just making up shitty games and putting them on Nintendo cartridges and selling them to people. It's not that far off. And you can manufacture a bullshit story so easily with the way that Wikipedia can be easily influenced now. And there are people that have so much time on their hands. I know this because I go to the game trading events, and there are dudes bringing out multiple tables of shit and then putting it back in their car, which means they have lots of time on their hands. They could make up a story like this, and you at least steal a few $1,000s before anyone found out it was bullshit.
Yeah.
Greg Pabbage did just that.
It's true.
And then there's fucking Mike Kennedy. But that's another story.
It's just ridiculous. I don't understand. These are not rare. You are manufacturing rarity, and they're doubling. They're trying to reinforce the rarity because whoever the hell wants to sell the game, let's say they want to sell Super Mario Brothers 1 for $50 or whatever it is, whatever stupid cartoonish price they're charging for a game that's not rare at all,
and is available on so many other platforms for $1.
Yeah, they'll go down the line on eBay, and if anybody is in their right mind and is selling it for $5-10, they buy it. And then they turn around and sell it for $50. They are eBay snipers. They are literally just to try and keep the price at the same level so they can keep getting the same bullshit price.
Well, and also they like try and corner the supply.
Yeah.
And it's like, see, once people have cornered a certain, because I've heard about this. This frightens me. It really does. I have heard of people clearing out their 401k so they can corner some games, like buy all the games that are available.
And that is
so they can have all of them?
And it's so you get flashbacks to the comic industry here in
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I mean, I remember you remember when Superman died?
Yes.
I remember seeing a news thing. Some dude bought a stack of them.
Yeah.
And you know what those things are worth today? Do you have it? I have it. It's in the box.
I have it. I not only have it.
You have all three?
If I can find it, yes, I do have it.
Do you have the graphic novel?
I have it in graphic novel form and signed by Dan Jurgens.
How much that cost you?
Nothing.
See?
I got it for free. And I didn't win a contest. I was literally at a comic store and they're like, hey, you want Death of Superman? Okay.
We don't have any room, please. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Comic prices continually went down and rent continually went up.
It's just, and that's exactly what's happening. If you think that's not already happening, actually, the prices are already beginning to fall a little bit because reality is starting to catch up with some of these fucking.
Oh, absolutely. Because like I talked about, there are guys that come to these events. One of the groups that I belong to, it's like a miniature convention every time. It's become such a big thing. And there's always these Mexican dudes and no one knows who they are, but they show up in like an old expedition.
And usually they just show up in front of Home Depot. That's all.
Yeah, and you think like, oh my God, is there going to be trouble? And then these just games start pouring out of their truck. Like they're going around to the garage sale so they can come back and sell them to us fucking jabronis at the event. But they're putting so much shit back in their truck. Like at some point, they're going to have to figure out, you can't keep running your truck back and forth and making like $20.
Yeah.
Because you ate it all up just running your truck there and running your truck back. There's not that much money to be made here. And again, these things are only getting older and are becoming more volatile by the day.
Not only that, but when you're living in a day and age where you got emulators on your fucking phone, I don't think these retro games have ever been less relevant in a way because they're just so easy to come on.
And that's the thing. That's the thing. It's like the game programs themselves are immensely popular.
Yeah,
absolutely. But the fucking jabronis and all you easy marks who are willing to part with $60 fucking for a piece of plastic that probably won't work after a little while. Now, don't get me wrong. I love collecting games. That's for me. I'm one of those people. But so many people think they're a goddamn speculator and they're going to, like you were talking about, buy it and flip it. And it's like, they tried that in Las Vegas. Go to fucking Las Vegas and try and buy a house. You can get a house for a fucking nickel in Las Vegas.
and the quality of the house reflects that.
That's not the point, okay? The point is when you open your legs and you make yourself easy, what you get is what you had.
Yeah.
And it's fucking ridiculous to me. And when people talk about controllers and playing on your phone, that I understand. I'm not, saying anything against the people who want to, play these games on their original hardware. That's fine. You have to understand though that there is a curve to that. there is a danger in dealing with antique electronics, and B, they're 100,000 years old. They came out of the trash. Don't spend this kind of money. Wait, save your money. Yeah. Put your money away, because there's a lot of people who are going to get burnt really bad who spent way too much money on this stuff. And also, I think I've talked about it, is the people who are right now opening retro game stores. What the fuck is wrong with you?
No shit.
We're in a day and age where small businesses are folding. Major businesses, game studios can't afford, who have distribution in the thousands, can't afford to stay in business. You think you're going to sell video games next to a fucking Little Caesars?
Especially when their pizzas are actually more cost effective than your like 40-year-old game that had a million.
And probably more healthful, because we don't know anything about the degradation of 40-year-old silicon and what effect that will play on the health of your house years from now.
Yeah, no shit.
You know, I mean, because they talk about like one little piece of mold can like make your home, you know, sick for years if you don't find it, make your family sick. So imagine a 40-year-old piece of silicone. We don't even know the effects, because that shit's never been this old until now. You don't know how that's going to degrade. And, you know, just bringing this shit into your house. What I'm saying is this is for people who know what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway, we're probably just ranting on about nothing, but that's what you fucking people came here for. So don't complain to me. Complain to him.
So in other words, it is the authentic 8-Bit podcast experience.
Absolutely. The only difference is Alpha Omegazine wasn't here to say fuck and talk about everyone's balls. Which I really miss.
Yeah. Oh, and Sainted wasn't here to be shit-faced.
No, he was never here in the he was never here in the first place. That's right, I said. I know he's fucking watching too, you little fucking cock. Talking shit about me, and it's coming back to me during my shows, you little twat. You left the 8-Bit podcast. Fuck you, a whole bunch.
Tell us how you really feel.
Back to me. People send me letters and shit. What do you think about Saint Magnus talking shit about you on his page? It's like he can do what he wants on his own page.
I didn't even know he had a page. Of course, I've been off the Facebook.
Well, it's because he's been hiding on his island like Dr. Moreau. Fucking just, you know, hiding out. You know, I understand he's impregnating the native females.
Oh, okay.
That's right. I swing stiff.
We've all got to have goals.
Before I met Saint Magnus, I used to be nice.
I don't believe that for a minute.
God damn it. Anyway. And apparently, did you hear about this? Everyone wants Alpha Omegazine and Silent Rob to have a cage match. Did you hear about that?
What the fuck? I don't know.
If it happens, you know who the commentators are. Raise your hand.
Hey.
I'll be glad to sit there and watch that. Well, you know what? We're past the hour.
Well, let's take some questions.
You want to take some questions? We'll take some questions. In the we'll take some questions for the next few minutes. In the meantime, I'm just going to sit here and say fuck.
So Alpha's here in spirit.
He is exactly, and we'll talk about Ronald Reagan. And I don't know how he knew about the blue veiny penis thing, because that comes. There's two things that will never die: Alpha Omegazine with cocaine on Ronald Reagan's penis. And me with the Viking cap. I will never live. None of those will ever be lived down for the history of YouTube.
You made the mistake of having that be the promo photo.
I know, right?
It was on too many episodes.
Well, you know, if I could find another one. See, I'm not a Viking, though. I mean, I was posing, I guess.
You misplaced a Viking helmet?
Was it my Viking helmet to begin with?
Jesus Christ.
I think that was you. You're like, dude, I need a photo. I think you were bugging me because I told you I'd get it to you and then I didn't. I'm like, Here. And that was the one, me in front of a fucking microwave with a Viking helmet on.
You're using secondhand props.
Well, you know, I mean, it's whatever. What thoughts? Let me see. Take one of the questions. I don't know.
Someone just said they'd grab Razörfist by the pussy. So that's
I think they want you to go and grab pussies. Well, now I want to know though. I mean, how manual is this pussy to where you can just grab a hold of it?
I know, right?
Usually, it's a fairly trim service. Now, I've heard that what they have, they call the FUPA. I'm not gonna repeat what that acronym stands for.
Oh yeah, we didn't really talk. I meant to ask you about this before. Someone just asked about it, so we should do that.
What's that?
Because I haven't really done my video about Nintendo Switch or anything yet, and you only touched on it a little bit in the last.
I did. I had more to say about it than I thought I did, but I just find it interesting how the internet exploded about it when all they did was show you a commercial of people partying on a rooftop.
It's the PS4 all over again. We don't get to see the machine. We don't know anything about it, but by God, it's going to cure cancer.
I just love how we live in a day and age where 25 million is a massive success, but 100 million Wii's. Oh, fuck that noise. That wasn't real.
Bullshit.
I mean, I don't really know what to say. I mean, if that basketball game is real, which it probably isn't, that looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I don't expect any of that software to necessarily.
No, and I don't know how often.
No, go ahead.
I would say I don't know how often me and my friend are going to play on the same split screen on a screen like that, but you never know.
Yeah, I dig the shit out of the technology and whatever, but that's never been Nintendo's problem, at least not for the last few cycles. Mm-hmm. The problem is not that Nintendo isn't doing anything different. Wii U did plenty different. I love the idea of the Wii U with the touchscreen and the whatever. Mm-hmm. Battery life was bullshit, but
yeah. Well, as I talked about on the program, it depends on what games you were playing. If you're touching the screen a lot, then yeah, that totally wipes it out, which doesn't make well. I guess because it's a resistive screen, and anyway,
whatever the fuck. It was the motion.
Anytime you're resisting electricity, that means you're shortening its lifespan.
Yeah, it was the motion control on the fucking Wii U touchpad that drove me fucking nuts. Especially if you're playing Star Fox Zero. Uh-huh. That drove me goddamn nuts. That game was great when you were just using the controller. It was fantastic. Mm-hmm. But when you had to target with the fucking...
You know what? I've heard this, and I've had this discussion before. Okay. There are games that have strange control schemes.
Yeah.
For instance, Q*bert in the arcade.
Yeah.
Q*bert, the joystick is mounted in an X pattern instead of in a cross pattern.
Uh-huh.
And that throws some people off. That you go down like that. Whereas for me, and for Star Fox Zero, I melted into those controls. Those controls suit me perfectly. Everything makes, yeah, absolutely. And I was worried when I first played it. And I'm like, oh, people say the control scheme is weird. And then I tried it, and immediately it was there. I figured it out in a matter of seconds.
Interesting.
And it felt good. I love that game.
I love the game too. I think it's great. My only gripe really is that it's kind of just Star Fox 64 again.
Well, but I mean, it's kind of like, yeah, but you'll notice that there's a lot of comic arcs that are a little similar.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not the same. I mean, the visuals are fantastic, but just the music is fucking stellar.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a little choked up when I played it for the very first time. I'm like, this is the game that I bought this fucking machine for.
It's true. If you bought it for it, I can completely see that. Star Fox Zero was badass. It's just the main thing was that fucking helicopter. Who the fuck thought? Okay, fighter jets, and you get the walker. Okay, and you get the tank. These all I can understand. They're like, you know what this needs.
Yeah, you need to lower the robotic operating buddy out of a helicopter.
What the? And you know what? A hacking mini game needs to ensue.
I liked it because it was interesting, but then after a little while, I'm like, they're just making the game longer with this, aren't they?
Yeah, it was kind of the same problem that Star Fox Assault had, where it was, hey, let's walk around for a while because that takes longer.
Yeah, and some of the Landmaster segments, like those, yeah, if you could fly, you could, yeah, because it had some of that Resident Evility where you'd have to go over here and over here and then over here and over here.
Yeah, there's a lot of backtracking and shit.
Yeah.
Go to this goal.
I guess they had to slow it down because, I mean, if you've played Star Fox 64, you can kick the shit out of this game.
Probably. Yeah, that is a bit of a problem because when you have a rail shooter like that, mm-hmm. or a rail arcade,
it's a little more. What's surprising is it's a little more free with where you can go, which I was not expecting.
Yeah, they did a lot of all range mode shit in this game.
Yeah, which lets you kind of drift over here, and I didn't know you could do that. So I'm like taking oncoming fire from this side. I'm like, what the fuck is that? I didn't know I had to turn.
Yeah.
I thought you fuckers were just gonna fly right in front of me like you usually do.
Yeah, all the boss fights in the game, from what I can remember, were all range mode. You could just fly around where the fuck you wanted, which was badass. I dig the shit out of the game, but it was the main problem, I think, with Wii U was just the expense that the touchpad created. It thinned their profit margins a bit.
It did because they had to drop it down to like $249 or something.
They had to drop the price real quick, probably a lot quicker than they wanted to.
Yeah, they did that it wasn't a year; it was just over a year, though. I think.
Yeah, I think it took a while, and that's what I worry about with the Switch. If they're going with the more exotic tech, I worry they'll paint themselves into the same corner as with the Wii U. The price is key for me, I think.
See, and that's the thing is, you wonder how much of the kayfabe that they really, and when I say kayfabe, the bullshit that comes out of outlets like Polygon and the PR from Bethesda, where they talk about they want innovative technology, and then you get innovative technology, and what do you do with it? Piss all. Nothing.
No, it's absolutely true. And Nintendo has fallen victim to that double standard hardcore.
The same thing happened with the Virtual Boy. The Virtual Boy, there could have been some great games on there, but there was a lot of things working against the Virtual Boy.
Well, it's hilarious. It's like when the same shit that happened with the PS3. PS3 had a lot of exotic tech on it. That's why the goddamn system cost so much, and that's why they were eating shit for the first
were they losing like $100 on every unit or something?
Yeah, and then you turn around and you get to the Nintendo Wii U, because the Wii had the motion control, but I mean it was basically a GameCube just with a motion controller, so that didn't cost that much.
For the most part, I mean it's a little more powerful.
Yeah, but the Wii U. That one, they go full hog, whole hog fucking innovative, whatever. And the same people who are like, no, Sony PS3 just needs to find its legs, whatever. They're suddenly like, Nintendo needs to get out of the hardware market. Like 15 minutes into that generation.
Yeah, and who was it? A whole bunch of people who are not in the hardware segment. People who have no history of drawing dollars, making machines ever, are telling Nintendo, who've been doing it for 70 goddamn years, how to do it. Yeah, okay. Fucking some 28-year-old asshole from fucking, some game studio knows what an 150-year-old company should do to, for longevity, because 28-year-olds know everything about longevity, don't they?
Yeah. It's just weird because in the long run, you figure they probably did not lose money on the Wii U because they have their hardcore fans. They sold a lot of software for Wii U.
Oh, that's the thing, is if you look at that ratio of hardware sold versus software sold, it is immense. It is like almost evenly matched on a lot of things.
And it's a complete inversion of what's going on Xbox One and PS4.
I was going to say PS4, 25 million units sold. Have they got 1 million seller game yet?
Well, they've got
that's not Call of Duty.
10 million seller game is the problem, and there's only been like 2 of them, and they were both re-releases.
Really?
Everything else, they haven't even gotten into double digits on most of these goddamn games. They threw themselves a fucking party when The Witcher got 5 million. It was like, what the fuck? What are you talking about? Like Skyrim
on the game supposed to be on PS3 too?
I'm sorry, what?
Wasn't that supposed to be on PS3 as well? Wasn't it a delayed title? The Witcher?
No. Witcher 3? No.
Okay.
But, and Phantom Pain, Metal Gear Solid 5, that sold like 5 or 6 million, or it was going to have to sell 6 million in order to break even, and I don't even know if they ever managed to do that.
Well, that is the thing. It seems like a lot of those games that sold very well in the last 2 or 3 years for this so-called generation, because generation actually implies sales, But some of the major sellers are games that have been in development for like 6 or 7 years and had a hype train rolling for 6 or 7 years. So if you really look at what that game cost to not only produce over the course of 7 years, but to market over the course of 7 years, because all that shit you see on E3, that costs money.
Yeah.
All of it. Just some dude, the fucking Jeff Keighley standing there fucking whoring for Doritos, that costs money.
It does.
Every last bit of it. So when you look at, 5 million units sold for a game that was marketed for 7 fucking years before its release.
Yeah.
How much money is really being made there? That worries me.
It's getting to the point where with the amount of money, and Metal Gear Solid 5 is actually a perfect object lesson. in that. Metal Gear Solid 5 had an insane promotional campaign. They ran ads on television forever, which is ridiculous.
In this day and age, to advertise video games on a fucking TV?
Shit. Yeah, somebody needs to tell that to the current political candidates, by the way, too. Jesus Christ. Can we run just a few more ads that no one's going to watch or be swayed by?
Well, all they really are is heel promos. All they really convince you is, fuck, I hate these people.
Pretty much. But yeah, it's bizarre. Like, it's the generation where everyone talks about, oh my God, PS4 hit another landmark. Oh my God, Xbox One hit another, all-time sales record. And it's like, then the next day we hear about 2 more AAA studios that are going out of fucking business. And nobody's making software money at all.
Yeah,
like,
and
is this
like these guys are just there to hold down desks?
Apparently. I do not know.
It's just, and it's ridiculous to me. And just the I would like to think that the gaming crash ended, but it seems like everyone's just in a big hurry to what would you call it? It seems like instead of putting new drywall and just healing it as a whole, we're just gonna keep putting spackle over this, even though the wound keeps opening. Oh no, just cover it up, and that's where we are. Whereas
that's why I think this generation is going to be so damn short.
Well, not only that, it just seems like this generation is far more interested. This has been the attitude era of video game generations. Because think back to the Attitude Era. What was the Attitude Era? Everyone remembers it fondly, but what was it really? It was like fucking 12 pretty good matches over the course of 4 years, and then a bunch of the road dog getting himself over for 10 minutes out of a 15-minute match.
It was over.
Yeah, that's true, but what did it lead to the week after?
Yeah. Well, in a way, of course, I think it 97, 98, 99, I don't think you have an argument. But 2000, 2001, that whole Attitude Era, I think...
Well, that was the beginning of the Ruthless Aggression Era, wasn't it?
Well, 2000 was still the Attitude Era. So
that's when Juice was okay again.
Late 99. Yeah, coincidentally, right around the time Chris Benoit showed up. What do you know?
Right.
Anyways.
I didn't say anything about hangings.
Oh... Yeah, the company kind of choked there. But anyways, so
so did everybody at Chris's house.
Yes. That was biblical. But anyways, we need to... No one's going to get the Bibles next to the bodies reference, but I'm still going to laugh. Fuck you. But yeah, like 2000, 2001 was totally a procession of, hey, let's kind of watch the same match over and over. Like, how many fucking weeks on SmackDown and Raw in the year 2000 did we have to sit there? Commissioner Foley would walk out. Love you, Mick Foley, but you were the worst fucking commissioner ever. And tonight, we're going to have a 6-man tag team match.
It's the same thing they're doing to him on Raw now.
Absolutely the same thing they're doing now. They're just so overwrought. They're like, okay, let's put them in a 6-man tag team match. They won't have to hurt their bodies quite as much.
Well, that's benefit. Well, that ring doesn't hurt anymore. Don't give me that shit. Well, not like the WCW ring. The WCW ring was a big fucking trampoline. But what I meant was this generation will be remembered more fondly for the talking than the actual drawing of dollars.
Yeah.
Because it's so cool to talk about video games. It's so cool to be on the social media and connect with your fans and your audience. And talk is fucking cheap. You guys haven't sold shit. What has been the big selling games? Minecraft and Fallout 4.
It's true. Yeah, Fallout 4 sold like crazy. The last Call of Duty game sold well out of nowhere. I don't know why. And you know what? And people always talk about what took down the Attitude Era was when fucking Stone Cold hugged McMahon. And I think No Man's Sky is what's going to taking down this generation. Oof. Suddenly, everyone's fucking had it. Oof. Yeah, that was pretty goddamn rough.
No Man's Sky was supposed to be this thing that was going to be the indie darling or whatever, this gigantic game that was going to be the game to end all games. This is going to change everything, and you fucking betcha it did. In retrospect, and I've said this before, in retrospect, I think the moment Sony jumped on and threw money at them to help finish it, that should have been the red flag. It's like if they're not together enough yet
that they need a huge influx of cash this late in the game, some shit's going on with this game. This is not. It is not Pleasantville over here at Hello.
That's the thing I didn't understand. Is like, wait a minute. Sony's throwing money at this shit, but they need a fucking Kickstarter to get this Shenmue thing going.
No shit.
I was like, I don't follow. I mean, okay, I am not a financial analyst. I don't work in finance, but I know that if you have money for this, but you didn't have money for that, you're lying.
Yeah.
You're lying because one thing says you don't have money. One thing says you do have money. So you must have it. Sony has an ex-wife that we don't know about. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's the end of the program. We're going to have to pick up our sentiments later on because, as you can tell, my throat's getting a little sore and Mr. Fist has to adjourn to the nearest In-N-Out. So, ladies and gentlemen, you have been absolutely fabulous. We thank you very much. We hope to see you again next week right here, hopefully on Monday Night Chaos. And thank you very much. My special guests, former co-holder of the Hate Bit Tag Team Championship, Mr. Fist, say goodbye to the nice people.
God fucking speed, folks. Thanks for joining us.
It was so great to see you. I want you all to know that I fucking hate you. Good night.
Yes.